There's a window that opens the moment you stop drinking. It doesn't stay open for long, maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks. And what you do inside that window determines everything. Because in that short space of time, your brain, your body, and your identity are rewiring themselves. You're no longer a drinker, but you're not yet fully free either. You're standing in between two worlds. And if you don't act now, alcohol will find a way to pull you back. See, most people think quitting is the end of the journey. It's not. It's the beginning. The part where everything that alcohol suppressed starts coming back to life. And that's what this video is about. What you must do immediately after quitting, before your old habits, your old emotions, and your old brain chemistry try to reclaim you. Because if you get this right, freedom becomes effortless. But if you miss it, even for a few days, the cravings, the fatigue, and the confusion will drag you straight back into the loop. So stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly how to lock in your decision, rewire your brain for calm and clarity, and make this the last time you ever have to quit drinking again. When you stop drinking, your body celebrates, but your brain panics. For years, it's relied on alcohol to create calm, reward, and relief. And suddenly, it's gone. So your mind starts scanning for what to replace it with. If you don't give it something real, it will pull you back to what it knows, the drink. That's why so many people relapse right after they stop. Not because they're weak, but because nature hates a vacuum. When you take alcohol away, you have to replace it with something that meets the same psychological need. The need for comfort, for relief, for escape. But here's the secret. It can't just be another distraction. See, alcohol doesn't just change how you think. It changes how you feel. It numbs the edges, slows the thoughts, softens the pressure. And when it's gone, all that pressure comes rushing back. So right after you quit, you must find a new way to regulate your nervous system, something that calms you without robbing you. For some, it's movement, walking, running, lifting. For others, it's stillness, breath work, meditation, time in nature. It doesn't matter what it looks like. What matters is that it gives you the same sense of control alcohol pretended to give you. Because if you don't learn to regulate your state consciously, your brain will demand that you do it chemically. And that's how relapse starts. But here's where it gets even trickier. Because once you've replaced the chemical calm with real calm, you'll hit a second test. One that most people never see coming. After a few days, maybe a week, the physical cravings begin to fade. You start feeling proud, clear. You think, I've got this. That's when the danger begins. Because your mind doesn't just crave alcohol. It craves familiarity, your old routines, your rituals, your sense of who you were when you drank. That identity is still echoing through your habits. Those patterns are wired deep into your brain. And if you don't rewire them immediately, they'll quietly guide you right back to the same behavior. So the second thing you must do after quitting is this. Replace your rituals before your brain does. Don't wait until 6 p.m. to wonder what to do instead of drinking. Plan it in advance. If you used to pour a glass of wine at sunset, start pouring something else instead. Tea, kombucha, water, anything. But do it with the same ritualistic care. You're not just replacing the drink, you're reprogramming the association. Because your brain doesn't understand not drinking. It only understands doing something else instead. That's how habits work. They're built on cues, routines, and rewards. You can't destroy a habit by removing it. You can only transform it by replacing it. And if you can make it through that transition, from chemical to conscious, from old ritual to new routine, you'll reach the stage that determines whether this sticks for life, the emotional stage. After a few weeks, the body has healed. the sleep improves, the energy rises, the cravings fade. But this is when something else surfaces. The emotions you've been numbing. The stress, the boredom, the insecurity, the loneliness. All the things alcohol was hiding start coming back. And this is where most people mistake healing for relapse. They think, I feel worse now than when I was drinking. But what they're actually feeling is themselves. Alcohol didn't remove your emotions, it paused them. And now that it's gone, those emotions are back, asking to be processed. This is the moment to lean in, not run away. Because what you do with those emotions decides everything. You can either numb them again with food, screens, chaos, or you can listen to what they're trying to tell you. If you feel anxious, maybe it's time to slow down. If you feel lonely, maybe it's time to reconnect. If you feel restless, maybe your life needs more meaning, not more distraction. Every emotion you feel right now is a message. And if you ignore it, you'll end up recreating the exact same life that made you want to drink in the first place. But if you listen, if you use that energy to rebuild, to heal, to grow, you'll not only stay sober, you'll evolve. Because what alcohol took from you wasn't just health or money or time, it took your awareness. And when you get that back, the entire game changes. But here's the beautiful twist. Once you've made it this far, once your mind starts clearing, something incredible happens next, and almost no one is ready for it. Suddenly, your brain starts producing natural dopamine again. You start to feel real joy, real focus, real peace. But you also feel an emptiness, not because you miss drinking, but because for the first time in years, you can finally feel everything. There's no filter, no haze, no chemical shield. You're raw, awake, alive. And that can be terrifying. Because now, you're no longer surviving. You're responsible for your choices, your energy, your purpose. And that's when the real question hits. Who am I now? That's why the final thing you must do immediately after quitting is this: fill your life with meaning before alcohol tries to fill it again. Most people quit drinking, but never build a new vision for who they want to become. So they drift. They stay in the same job, same routines, same relationships. And even though they're sober, they still feel stuck. Because alcohol wasn't the only thing they outgrew. It was the entire life built around it. The energy you used to waste on drinking has to go somewhere. If you don't channel it into growth, it turns into restlessness. And restlessness is the first step back toward relapse. So take that energy and build something with it. Learn, move, create, serve. It doesn't matter what it is, only that it reminds you what you're capable of. Because the truth is, when you remove alcohol, you're not left with a void. You're left with potential. When you point it toward something that excites you, life gets bigger, richer, more interesting than drinking ever was. And when that happens, you realize you didn't quit alcohol. You outgrew it. So let me tell you the truth, no one else will. What you do in the first few weeks after quitting is not about avoiding relapse. It's about teaching your brain what freedom actually feels like. If you fill that space with calm, clarity, and meaning, you'll never crave the old version of yourself again. If you don't, alcohol will come knocking, dressed up as comfort, pretending to be relief. You've opened a door most people never reach. Now you just have to walk through it before it closes. Because this window, this fragile space right after quitting, is where your mind is the most open to change it will ever be. What you plant here grows for life, and what most people plant are doubts. They start wondering if they can handle stress without drinking, They start missing the good times. They start replaying old memories through a rose-tinted filter. That's how alcohol sneaks back in, not through craving, but through nostalgia. But there's a way to stop that instantly. A way to make every craving, every nostalgic thought dissolve the second it appears. It's something simple, but most people never figure it out. Once you understand it, you'll never have to fight your urges again, because they'll vanish before they even take shape. So if you're ready to know what that is, click the video on the screen now, because the next few minutes will show you how to shut cravings down in real time and make peace with your mind for good.